Hi, Susan. How are you today?
Hi, Ceil. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
How's the weather?
Well, I really wish I could turn my computer because we have over 10 inches of snow out there. It's being cleared and we might be able to get out today, but it is still snowing. And I just found out that they're talking about more snow on Sunday.
Oh
So
my goodness.
outside of the city of Philadelphia, we don't normally get this kind of snow. So it's a little bit fun because I don't have to go anywhere. I feel
Oh,
bad
that's
for people who do.
yeah. We have wind, really, really, really bad wind. So we already had a tree down on the road that Roger had, and one of the neighbors had to saw up this morning. So I'm staying home today and plan to do this podcast from Workroom Tech, but I'm in my basement, and that's okay too. So
It is.
just
Hopefully,
but the internet might be a little dicey. So
yes. Yeah. So if we cut out for a few minutes, we're also recording this for YouTube. So again, we're just going to do the best we can, and there might be a little pause here or there, and we'll just keep going.
yeah. So our topic today, I'm excited about this. It's gonna
I
be
am
fun.
too. I had fun getting ready for it.
It's a show and tell. So
Yes.
we're going to do workroom supplies,
And
all those consumables, those things you buy that you buy over and over and over. So we're going to go through some categories, and I'm going to share what my favorites are, and you're going to share what your favorites are. And we haven't checked in with each other, so I don't know. It might be the same. It might be completely different.
truth be told, I was going to record this from my workroom today until I went into my workroom last night and went, nope, I'm not showing this to anyone.
Oh, come on.
Future podcast, I will record in my work. Yeah, it was not there. There wasn't a space that big that looked clean, Susan. So I haven't done my January clean out yet. Oh wait, it's February 2nd. I'm in trouble.
That's funny. When I visit and travel and go to workrooms, often, people are like, oh, but my workroom's not clean. I don't want you to see it. And I'm like, oh, I'm in my happy place. I'm at home. A messy workroom is it just, wraps its arms around me. So
Yes.
it would have been fine to be in your workroom.
All right. Well, so when the next time we record a podcast that will go on YouTube and we're going to be doing something that I can do for my workroom, I will. And I won't clean it up completely. I'll just make it
Well,
presentable.
that
How's
being said, this is as far as I'm going to move.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to show my workroom.
So what are we
My
going
art
to start with?
arranged, some stuff on the
It's
pinboard and
beautiful.
books on the shelf,
It's beautiful. And you can only see my framed print and a little pile of lining fabric over here. So
right.
keeping it.
Yeah, this whole podcasting on video is whole new kind of thing.
Whole new experience, things I never thought about before. Oh wait, they can see that.
I know, crazy. So let's get started. And just have a list in no specific order, but we'll start with lining and interlining. And if I could only have one lining,
What would it be?
I was on a desert island and I was only allowed to take one bolt of lining with me, I would take cotton nap sateen.
Yeah, that is a good staple for most workrooms, I think.
Yeah.
No,
It's for people that aren't familiar with it, it's like Hanes classic sateen, their nap sateen. It's the classic sateen lining, but it's brushed on one side. So it has a flannel side and a sateen side. And some people call it, like a 2-in-1 lining. But the inner lining isn't glued on or attached. The fabric is just brushed with like wire brushes to raise fibers on one side. So that gives you a very plush, thick sateen lining. And it stays put when you put it down because it has the grabby side of the flannel. And it's just a lovely lining. It doesn't weigh any more than sateen, but you would think it did because it's thicker.
Yes.
Yeah. The bolt is a lot bigger than a bolt of sateen, even though it weighs the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's plush.
Do you use that a lot in your workroom, Susan, for your clients? Okay. I don't. I love it. But most of my work is lined and interlined because that's what my designers are ordering. But nap sateen, I think, is a great balance if you've got someone who is a little bit budget conscious because it's one fabric instead of two and less labor. I think it can really elevate some very beautiful fabrics to look more luxurious.
Yeah, it doesn't take the place of interlining because interlining is another layer.
Yeah.
Adding another layer is a whole different thing than just having flannel side.
Right.
And I use it with flannel sometimes.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. But other than that, if I didn't have the nap sateen, just a good 100% cotton, high quality sateen lining.
Mhm.
And for blackout, I like the cotton substrate. It's a little stiffer.
Okay.
But for some drapery projects, I like to use the polyester substrate, which if you order from Hanes, that's called Serenity. If you order from Angels, it's called Silky.
Yes.
It has a silky feel.
Yeah.
And the reason being that over a big drapery, it weighs less. The polyester is lighter than the cotton. So it's still a 3-pass blackout, but it does, all that weight adds up.
Yeah.
A big drapery.
I brought a piece from my workroom of the Bella Notte blackout. I love using it. I think it has a really nice hand. And
yeah, so that's the cotton substrate.
Yes. And this is really interesting because there's always a conversation about which is the right side and which is the
right.
And the wrong side to seal is the whiter of the two, and it doesn't have much of an appearance to it that looks like fabric.
Right.
Right side to seal is the one that's, and I usually get pale ivory because it's not ivory, it's not white. It has a little bit more of the grain, like the weave and the weft to it that you can see.
Right. That's the cotton side.
Exactly. So to me, that is the outside of the lining. But there have been times when I've gotten a project done and I couldn't tell which side was which. So that tells you a lot about how important it is. I mean, it should all match, but it really doesn't matter which side is out.
No, it performs the same way no matter which side is out. I like the woven side too, not the acrylic foam side or the right side. And there are now new linings, and I'm waiting for a sample from Hanes called, they call it Fuse. And it's 2 right sides, an ivory side and a white side.
Yes.
So you can buy 1 bolt of lining and you can choose whether you want an ivory lining or a white lining. So that saves on having to have 2 bolts of 2 colors of blackout. So
I think
Angels have
brilliant.
I just don't know what the name of it is.
I'm not sure either. I've gotten emails from them about it, and I know they have it. I also get a lot of their extra wide linings because I do a lot of 1.5 panels. And I like if I don't have to join the lining and the inner linings together. I like if
that double wide or just a 1.5 wide.
I normally get the double wide because then if I need to do some railroading, I can turn that sideways and do the hem and the selvage if it's the length of my drapes fits into that.
I don't order the double wide, and I think I just don't want to wrestle with it, It's like
it's a lot. It is a lot.
Like I can just run to the sewing machine and sew widths together, but I understand not wanting to have those seams. So
and the 80-inch wide, I do a lot of 1.5 panels.
Yeah,
so that really does do exactly what I need it to do.
Yeah. What about interlining? What interlining do you use?
So I've ordered both from Hanes and Angels, and I think my favorite is from Hanes. I like the pure white because if it's against a fabric that has a little bit of open weave, it doesn't distort the color.
Yeah.
I've used the natural, but I prefer the white. And I'm going to show you a little trick that Elke Horn taught me. When I have leftover pieces of lining or fabric, I measure them out as I'm cutting them off. And I put the measurement on the piece.
That's so smart.
It is, and it's not my idea. I'm attributing Elke to it. And then I have a little section in my under my table that I lay them down with this sticking out. And so if I need a small piece for a valance or I need a scrap of something, I know exactly how big the pieces are, and it saves me time. So
that's so smart.
I'm passing that on to everyone.
I do that with lumber so that when I look up on the stack of lumber, I know what size the board is from the side. I just write it on the side, but I don't do it for my lining cuts. I just have to pull them out and throw them.
Well, but it's
not very efficient.
I'm not always totally organized about a lot of things. My lining and inner lining leftover section is a pretty nice little spot. It also lets me know when I have more than I need and I can start getting rid of some of it.
Right. Some of the little pieces. Yeah, I like the Hanes white heavy flannel And I have not had an order for bump interlining in 10 years.
It's probably been that long for me too.
Yeah.
I have a piece in my workroom that's not really long enough to do anything with, but I have not had a call for it. Yeah, it's probably been about that long for me
I
too.
say 10 years because I've been in North Carolina 10 years and I brought a bolt with me,
And you haven't used it?
like a partial bolt. Yeah, so that was really, really popular for a long time.
Yes.
And then things got a little more streamlined, more open weave, shears, and not as heavy of a look.
Right.
So, I might trend back, but
And bump always looks so beautiful under silk. And I don't know about you, but I
Don't-
haven't done a
yeah.
lot of silk.
Thanks. I haven't. Somebody posted a picture of silk drapery recently, and I was like, "Wow, a silk drapery! I haven't seen that in a
Yes,
long time."
and it was stunning. It was beautiful.
So, so that's linings. And for more information about linings, we did a whole podcast on linings,
Yeah.
episode 4, way back. This is episode 48. So 44 episodes ago, we did linings and inner linings, and it hasn't changed, except for, there's a new product maybe, but
Right.
what I like and why I would use a lining with whatever, that's the same. So that's, I guess today we're talking about, you can't have a bolt of every lining. You can't have a bolt of every welt cord. You can't have every drapery weight available. So we're just talking about what we have room for. One bolt of lining. This is what it's going to be. One bolt of interlining, one bolt of blackout. So it's more of a small workroom kind of thing.
Exactly.
So now we've done lining. Let's talk about Buckram.
Okay.
This is not a roll of toilet paper. Believe me, you don't want to use it for toilet paper.
No.
Wouldn't that be let's April 1st.
There you go.
In the middle of the night, switch it out.
That would be cruel, Susan.
Let's see how many people listen to this and do it.
Yeah. Right.
So I keep 2 types in stock. One is a polyester Buckram non-woven and a cotton woven. And this is the non-woven, and you might have the same too. If I put it up to the camera, you might be able to see. It has a texture that's
different than yours.
Okay, yours is the papery one. Okay, so that is different. So these are both non-wovens. This is a polyester, so it can be used outdoors or for commercial, projects and things. It's good, and it has a really nice stiff fold.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, I like that. And the only thing is that texture of the one that I'm showing, not the one you're showing. If you're doing a shear, you can see that through the shear.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. So the one you're showing would be a better choice for that. And then with the woven Buckram, you can actually see the weave.
Yes.
Used to be able to get it at every supplier, and now it's very, very difficult to find a woven Buckram. This is very traditional, also called crinoline.
Right.
And you can find it still at Dufix has it, and maybe a random supplier out there still has some stock of woven Buckram. The Dufix Buckram you can get as a fusible, so that's really nice because it has a coating of fusible on one side, and that's really wonderful, especially if you're doing low bulk draperies where you don't have a double fold to hold your Buckram in place. You can iron it in place and pull the drapery across and keep going. And I also use the fusible woven for Buckram fold room and shades. One thing about the woven Buckram is you can rip it to size.
Right.
So when you're rolling it off the roll on your drapery, you don't even have to get up here, so you can just rip off. Or if you want a smaller size, let's say I want a 3.5 inch Buckram, you can rip it that way.
Oh, that's great.
Can't do that with this one. Even if I clip it with the scissors, you can, but it doesn't.
It doesn't look so nice and neat.
But Buckram is one of those standard supplies that we use over and over and over and over again. And you get a favorite, and then you go back and order the same one. And you can get different sizes of Buckram, 3-inch, 4-inch. 4-inch is what I keep in stock.
Yeah.
I think I have some 3-inch for cafe curtains, and when I'm doing Buckram fold shades, I have the 3-inch.
I don't do that many extra long panels, so I don't get 6-inch or 8-inch. Now I use the DoFix sheer Buckram when I'm working
Good.
with shears.
Yeah.
I really love it. All of my Buckrams are iron-on.
Yeah.
I just feel like I have more control. I generally use the low bulk method. I haven't done
Yeah.
the double fold method for a couple years. So I feel like when I can iron them in and they're secure, that I feel a little bit better about.
Can you hold that up to the camera to
Yeah.
get the to show the weave of that? That one's really nice. And the fusible is very lightly applied, and
Yes.
it's kind of on both sides because it's an
Yes.
open weave. I don't know, it might be applied to only one side, but it
But
squirts
it
through
comes
the other.
through, yeah.
I don't think they've applied it to both sides, but it's not like if you iron it down, you won't be able to pull it back if you make a mistake.
Exactly.
And I know some folks that are really anti iron-on Buckram,
I know.
and I'm like, you know what? You don't have to iron it just because it has the adhesive on it.
You're right. And since I do low bulk, I always iron it to the piece that's coming to the back. I never iron
Yeah.
it to the face.
Right.
Now,
Right.
having said that, without having some adhesive on both sides. But for me, with the shear, that's actually kind of a good thing because then it's not slipping and sliding. But when I do,
Do you do low bulk with shears too?
no, I don't actually. I do
Okay.
double
Okay. So for like the shear one, you will have a double fold there.
Yes, even when I've lined shears, I still do the double fold because to me, it just gives a little more security, and because you can see through sheer fabric, I like that double fold of fabric, so I
Yeah.
can't see through everything.
Yeah.
But when I do the very first set of low bulk panels that I did, I adhered the Buckram to the face fabric and it bubbled. So I never did that again. I always do it to the header, the 4 inches that are the header, and I'm almost always good, but I always test it first. So yeah, I'm a real fan of the iron-on Buckram. I know
Yeah.
not everyone is, but I do like it.
And I will share that I get this question a lot because I recommend the DoFix Buckrams so often. People want to know, well, where do you buy a DoFix Buckram? Well, you buy it from DoFix. And I know I'm not being, a smarty pants, but it's DoFix No-Sew Incorporated, and their website is dofix.com.
And I'll put
So
a link to that in the show notes.
It's not like a brand name that's available everywhere. So
Right.
It is to the trade only. You can find some DoFix products at homesewingdepot.com. She sells smaller put-ups. So that's nice too. But yeah, it's from DoFix.
Yeah, we should mention, Susan, that especially for people just starting out or for smaller workrooms, that Home Sewing Depot is a great place to get some smaller quantities of things and gives you a chance to try things out. Call Claudia and talk to her. She's wonderful. And you don't have to buy a bolt of everything for your first project.
Yeah, and I know a lot of workrooms that will buy things from her that only need don't want to buy 1,000. Like 1,000 feet of ladder tape, you can just get a smaller quantity if it's not something you use very often. So you pay a little bit more because you're getting cut yardage, but you're not having something that's sitting on your shelf getting dusty.
Right.
So speaking of sitting on the shelf getting dusty, let's talk about welt cord. How many of us have a roll of 1-inch welt cord that's under a work table somewhere getting dusty?
I just got rid of the last one. You know how I did it? I got this idea from the brilliant Robin Matthews. I cut it to the length of some of my drapery panels, use it to stuff the fold. There are some linen drapes that are sitting at a designer's house on her pool table right now that have long pieces of 1-inch welt cord in the folds because they're linen draperies and we can't get them hung yet because we can't get hardware in. And I thought that was brilliant, but now I'm sad because my roll is gone. I will get I will get back the ones from her. And use them. However, I have no more 1-inch welt cord.
So the only size I ever order anymore is 5/32. So I mean, this isn't going to make any sense just holding it up, but these are 2 5/32 welt cords. And I'll show the ends of them because that'll be
Oh, that'll be
one
helpful.
is firm and one is soft. So there they are. The soft, this is a cotton, the one on top. And you also can get a polyester. And I like the polyester because it's white. But this is, I'm at home and this is what I have in my home workroom. At Workroom Tech, I have a roll of the white polyester 5/32 soft welt cord. And then the firm welt cord, it has fiber in it that is sort of like a, it's papery. So
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. That's what
kind of papery, it's condensed papery. And that is nice. The firm edge is really good on cushions.
Yes.
Because it's something you're sitting against. I like it with heavier fabrics, you know, upholstery weight fabrics, even for just making toss pillows, because you can feel that in there.
Yeah.
The other one, because you can just smush it down flat almost.
Yes.
I like the soft welt cord for draperies and top treatments and some pillows, just because it drapes, you know, softer.
Yeah.
It gives you that nice soft edge, and you can snug up really tight against it, which is nice.
Yes.
And it's what I have always used. So I'm newer to the Firmwell cord.
Okay. So
I really like it.
I have two that you don't have. So this is the 5/32. It's the soft. I like it, but sometimes when I'm making pillows or cushions with a firmer fabric or a stiffer fabric, I like something a little bit stiffer. And I have two here that I have no idea where I got them from. I have no idea where I'm gonna get them when I run out. I actually marked this one. This is a 7/8 cord, and it's very firm. So I use this for cushions frequently, for indoor cushions. But I also have some outdoor. This is a foam.
Yeah, that's the foam.
Nothing but foam. There's nothing wrapped around it. And I use this occasionally if I'm using like upholstery weight fabric for pillows, because it needs a little more support. As long as it's not, I always check in with my designers. Is this a family who's going to be like drooling on their pillows? Because this is not the most comfortable take a nap on, but it really does hold its shape well. And I really like it for that. But again, when I run out of some of these, I'm really in trouble because I have no idea where I got them from.
That's another, you know, look, you know how wonderful you are about labeling your lining pieces? You need to label your.
I do. You know what? I will tell you one way that I do label them. On each of these rolls, I have the approximate width I need to cut the fabric.
Oh, well, that's smart.
So that I don't have to remeasure it each and every time. So if I'm doing linens or whatever, I have cut 2 inches, cut 2.5 inches. If it's heavier, I'll just bump it up another 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
But I have that on each of my rolls.
That's here for me.
Susan, I don't retain those things. I wish I did. I just don't. So it's on the rolls and I don't have to worry about it.
Also micro welt cord. So these are, I like the cable cord, and you can tell it's cable cord because it's twisty. See that?
Oh yeah.
There we go. It's twisted. And this is the 1/8, and I also have 1/16. You can tell which one I use more often. The 1/16 is something I use, and what I use this for a lot is next to a border around a needlepoint pillow. So it gives just that little tiny division there. So I use that a lot for that. And you can also get a woven, like a braid micro welt from Early Company, and that one's really nice too.
Okay. I have not used micro cord as much recently.
Yeah, I still use it. I just throw it in everything. Any bias edges like swags or a valance, a contrast line valance, a shaped valance, I just add micro cord. It's automatic.
Yeah.
And then thread. So my favorite threads are for hand sewing is dual duty hand quilting thread, and neutral colors. We're going to call this the beige rainbow, right? So we have white, ivory, taupe. And also for hand sewing and machine sewing is the Coats Turco satin. So there's the.
I'm glad you showed that because I forgot to bring that up with me.
And you can get this from the Workroom channel, and in a few neutral colors as well. And this is a Tex 80. It's really, really heavy thread. So you might actually find it difficult to thread your needle if you have a small hand sewing needle.
But it's a really good, strong,
really
thread.
good.
I really like
Great
it.
thread for tacking pleats.
Yes.
The hand quilting thread is what I use for sewing hems and sewing on trims when I'm hand sewing trims. For my sewing machine, and this is going to be where I'm probably different than other folks, I use Coats Dual Duty in the big spools like this. And guess what? Neutral colors most often. And I've been using Coats Dual Duty on my industrial sewing machines for 30 years. So it's my favorite.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's better or not good. It's just what I use. And so it's easy for me to go order. I don't even have to think about it. I just go order it. I know what I'm getting.
Yeah. So I use a lot of the Rolly company threads. And the one I use most often is the TF6K on my straight stitch. But on my walking foot, I use, it's a little bit heavier.
What's the Tex? Do you have it? Because this is Tex 40 is the dual duty. I was curious at the one that you use from Rolly.
This is 40 for my walking foot.
Then
I don't actually see it in here.
Yeah, some of them are labeled and some of them are not.
Yeah. But there's a difference in the weight of these two threads. So this one is on my straight stitch and this is on my walking foot. And then I don't do a lot of outdoor cushions, but I do carry the bonded polyester, and this is from Rolly Company.
I have the bonded nylon. I don't have a walking foot here at home, so I don't have any walking foot thread, but you have the bonded nylon at Workroom Tech for upholstery classes and slipcovers.
Right.
It's a really, really strong one.
Yeah.
And just for me, like sewing pleats and stuff on the walking foot, I'll use the Turco satin. And when I need a color thread, I have some Gutermann cones, Tex 40 or similar weight, and just, buy one spool of a bunch of colors, and you don't use them very often.
No, I have lots of colors, but I do use the neutral colors most often because they blend easiest.
Yeah.
And those are the colors that have been pretty popular.
For my serger, I use Maxi Lock thread. And again, keep it in neutral colors and black, because I do serge when I do French blackout. I serge the bottom. And then for drapery weights, there's lots and lots of drapery weights. There's drapery weighted tapes,
right?
Round weights, triangle weights, big weights, little weights, covered weights, uncovered weights, but I mostly keep covered weights. Here's two, and this is probably the most popular, a vinyl covered weight. The ones I have at Workroom Tech, the ends are also encased in vinyl.
Yes, they're the ones I have.
They're easier to sew in. They're already covered. You don't have to cover them, which is nice. And you can get lead-free weights now. So I choose to get the lead-free weights.
I do too. No one ever asked me about it, but I do make sure that that's what I carry.
Well, just for us, like in our workrooms, and also it's better for the environment because mining lead and doing all that stuff, or however it's done, it's, all that waste is going into somebody's water somewhere.
Exactly.
So just so I choose to use the non-lead weights now that we can get them. My very first sewing job, that in my memory of working in the workroom, was covering lead weights.
Okay.
So
no more. I do remember the first time I had to reorder a bag of 100 weights, and it made me feel like I was truly a professional because I had gone through all of those weights. Now I have no idea how many bags I've gone through.
There's also bead weight chain. This is the 5/32. You can also get it in 4/32 and maybe other sizes, but that's what I usually get. And it's a weighted case. It's a casing with weights inside, so you can see the weights here. This is why it's called sausage bead weight, because these little,
like sausage.
Put my hand behind it. They're like these little sausages, little segments, and that allows it to drape. So you drop this into the bottom hem of shears or other fabrics. You can also cover it like welt cord and sew it into the bottom edges of a bias, valance or swag.
Yeah, makes them hang beautifully.
Yeah, it's really nice. That would be a more expensive option, but sometimes you need to use the better stuff. So you can also get it in a tan color. And you can dye it if you needed to for a color sheer. And then there's drapery pens. I use pens on strips for a pen setter. This is an older model pen setter. Let's just show people how it works here. There's the pen. And it has a spring, and when you put the pen in and you bring it off and you let go, and then the next pen slides in place like a Pez container. So here's what the drapery pens look like. And you can get non-tilting pens, which are really nice. They don't fit in the pen setter, I don't think.
Right. I don't think they do.
So it's nice to maybe have a box of those on hand. And I always get heavy duty pens because they work for everything. Light duty doesn't.
Exactly.
And I don't use sew-on pens very often. I know our friends in the UK often have those brass sew-on pens. They're very beautiful.
I don't use them either.
No. I like sticking them in because you can move them around.
I do too, for that exact reason.
And we're running out of time, Ceil.
We are, and we actually have several more things that we wanted to talk about. So should we do a second podcast? Or
no, let's just go. It'll be quick.
Okay.
Okay. So fusible tapes and adhesives.
Yes.
The most common that I keep on hand are jewel tape.
I love it.
Which is a double-sided white clear sticky tape, and then you peel the paper off. It has a polyester core. You did a podcast with Donna Scufas, and she talked about the jewel tape.
Yes, it's one of my go-tos.
And that is not an iron-on. That is a double-sided sticky tape. And then for iron-on, I use the Do Fix Board and Fix tape.
I use both Board and Fix and, oh gosh, I had the rolls in my hand to bring up here and I forgot to do it. Their other one. I use both.
Oh, the Board and Fix K.
K, yes.
That's the one for sheer. That's not as, doesn't have as much adhesive on it.
Yeah, I don't use that one as often, but I do use it. And sometimes I'll do it just to temporarily keep things where I need them to be so I can work a little bit better.
One of the things you need to remember about adhesives is they have a shelf life. So even the adhesive tapes. So if, like a Workroom's going out of business and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy all these tapes, they might not work so good anymore. Or, glues might be dried up. I also use a lot of adhesive, wet adhesive like this.
I do. Yes, I do too.
So this is the Tackett from Textile. Rolly Company has Rolly Company fringe adhesive. This one's a little thicker, the Tackett.
Yeah.
Only can order it, it's water-based, so you can't order these glues during really, really cold weather. You don't want them shipped because they'll freeze.
Yeah.
And then I believe you've received some of these wonderful hair dye bottles. Now, I don't dye my hair. I'm not going to say who does.
No, just
actually during COVID, I know that she has not been dyeing her hair, so... So I don't know, our supply might be out.
They are fantastic.
They're so squishy and they have the great little tip and they have a screw-on lid.
Yes.
So go see your hairdressers and get some.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I put the glue in the glue bottle and I also have the big bottles. You can buy the bottles, at Rolly Company empty.
Yes.
So
I will say they're a little easier on the hands too.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, these are just right.
Yeah, they really are. And we are thankful to that person for sharing that with us. And she's probably going to get onto the link for the podcast and tell us all who she is. And that's okay too.
She's wonderful.
Yes.
And then what we could do a whole episode like on shade components because there's so many, the rings, the shrouds and all that. So maybe we shouldn't dive into that, but
yeah, because we might have to skip over a little too quickly. But yeah, let's save that for another one.
Okay. All right, great.
All right.
So
I did want to show one thing that I use a lot of is Skirtex. I didn't for a long time.
Right.
But I make my returns out of Skirtex.
So also Peltex. So Peltex is the Pellon version of Skirtex.
Okay.
And you can get Peltex with adhesive. So you can get it 71F, I think. The F is for fusible.
Okay.
You can get it with fusible on one side or fusible on both sides.
Okay.
So I like to get it with the fusible on one side. And that's what I'm teaching the arch drapery class right now. That's what we're using in the heading instead of Buckram. And it's really, really nice. But Skirtex with an iron-on adhesive web on it is fabulous for soft cornices, for drapery, your Roman shade returns, for making tie backs.
And this is do fix Velcro.
Oh, perfect.
So I staple the hook side onto the header, and then I use the soft side on this, and I have my returns done.
Oh, you should do a tutorial for the magazine on that.
Oh, I should.
I get people ask me, how do I make Roman shade returns all the time? And that'd be great.
I've learned from the best, so I will forward that knowledge.
Very good.
That's a great idea.
So before we go, this is fun. I like sharing products.
I do too.
Let's announce the March topic of the podcast, because our Workroom Accountability and Mentoring group, which we have new members now, so our group has doubled in size, and they need a project. We're going to start them off with an assignment. So last year we did time studies, and that allowed us to do pricing and hourly rate, work on that as a group. And if you go back and listen to podcast episode 33, we talked about the results of our time studies and how that helped us with determining an hourly rate. Well, now I'm going to challenge the group to do time studies on business related part of our workroom. So how long does it take you to do those quotes? And what other types of things do you do? Scheduling, ordering. So every time you sit down to do one of those non-fabrication things, let's start keeping track of our time.
Susan, this is still not the easiest thing for me to do. And now with running the library and doing the podcast, I have a general idea of how much some of those things cost. So this is a good cost. How much?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that really is it, isn't it? This is actually a good assignment for me too, to start paying attention to how much time I spend on things.
And like marketing, how much time do you spend when you sit down to do a newsletter, a Facebook post, Instagram, you know, all that stuff. Let's start tracking our time, and we'll let them work on that, and then hopefully share some things in the next podcast. If we can. If not, if they need more time, we'll roll it over to April. But I think we could. I started yesterday because I had 15 Roman shades to quote. So, you know, I sat down and just on my notes, I just wrote what time I started and what time I finished.
And you know, we get kind of hung up on the details of things. You wrote down what time you started, you wrote down what time you finished. It doesn't have to be high tech.
No. Unless
that really is your thing. We all know I love technology, but trying to remember to set my watch, set my timer, is a nightmare for me. So if I write down what time I start and what time I finish, I do a whole lot better. So make it as simple as you can, and don't create more work for yourself to time yourself. And it's okay to average a little bit, but get a better idea of how long it takes.
This will give us, because everybody approaches these things differently, it'll give us an opportunity to share what tools you use. You know, are you using a pencil and paper? Are you using a spreadsheet?
Right.
You know, those kind of things. So we can compare and see how it works, and ways we can improve and be more efficient. Just like with fabrication, how can I be more efficient? We can wear a tool belt. Well, what's the tool belt for business items, right?
That's a great way to put it.
So we're issuing the challenge, and if you're not part of the WAM group, you can still do this challenge at home and
do it.
And report back to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, Susan, we are out of time.
I know we went over.
That's all right. I don't think anybody holds the timer up, but we really did want to get all of those tools in. So really happy that we were able to today.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
It was great.
WAM group and those listening and following along, you have your challenge. When we post the podcast, I'd love for people to listen to some of the things that we're using. And if you're using different things, let us know. We would love to hear what you're using.
Yeah, it's always great to get new products.
Exactly. And hear how you're using them.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. There will be a link to Susan's blog and the end of the podcast, and also on the YouTube channel page. And you'll be able to find links to many of the things that we spoke about today in the show notes and on the YouTube channel and in Susan's blog. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.